Pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed on this world. The people of Israel lived through one such moment this weekend. The bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas, a group whose stated purpose for being is to kill Jews. This was an act of sheer evil.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, Hamas isn't operating like the fucking Oath Keepers or some shit. But if you identify and then reduce the problem, and that's why they're doing it, and not like the fucking occupation, then you've lost the plot. Bro wants the viewer to believe him, but doesn't believe the president. What? Are you new here? What? Why the fuck would I believe? Why the fuck would I believe Joe Brandon?
More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered, not just killed, slaughtered in Israel. Among them, at least 14 American citizens killed. Parents butchered using their bodies to try to protect their children. Stomach-turning reports of babies being killed. Entire families slain. Young people massacred while attending a musical festival to celebrate peace.
Yo, my boy is doing dude, you're the president, dog. You're doing, this is stuff that you see on Reddit, dude. That's crazy.
Trophies. Families hid their fear for hours and hours, desperately trying to keep their children quiet to avoid drawing attention. And thousands of wounded, alive but carrying with them the bullet holes and the shrapnel wounds and the memory of what they endured. You all know these traumas never go away. There's still so many families desperately waiting to hear the fate of their loved ones, not knowing if they're alive or dead or hostage. Infants in their mother's arms, grandparents in wheelchairs, Holocaust survivors abducted and held hostage. Hostages whom Hamas has now threatened to execute in violation of every code of human morality.
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, agree or disagree. I mean, there's a lot of the stuff that he mentioned is real, okay? Most of the stuff that he mentioned is real, that did happen. So I'm not going to hyper-focus on the stuff that is unsubstantiated. However, that is, unless you're trying to karma farm on Reddit, there's a specific reason for that, okay? Agree, disagree, doesn't matter. The specific reason was, and this was very deliberately mentioned from the jump, according to the Palestinian authorities, that because they understand that Israel does not see them as human beings or treat them as human beings, and they will bomb them relentlessly, the goal was to, 1, engage in a prisoner swap, and 2, to ensure that Gaza was not reduced to rubble because there were Israeli citizens inside of Gaza now. And once the bombing did not stop, they said they were going to start executing the prisoners unless the bombing stopped. It also still corresponds to these people are engaging in this behavior specifically because they're violent and crazy and don't have any other other real tangible goals at all. It's just they're barbaric, they're bad, and they're barbaric and bad, and they're doing this specifically because of their barbarism and bad behavior. Are their actions actually gruesome? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay, they are. But you're not analyzing the situation at all. What's more important here is that I feel like the Western media's perspective on the matter is literally different than even some of the Israeli media I have seen. These are human beings. The Gazans are human beings, but also you have Israeli citizens and citizens of other nationalities as well that have been taken hostage. And Israel is basically written it off as they're dead already. We don't care. That's crazy. 2 days ago, on the night of the 1st, on October 7, basically, Smotrich in a cabinet meeting said it's time to be cruel, even if it means killing the Israeli hostages in Gaza. And now it has become the official Israeli policy. 3 days later, they actually are going along with it. What does this imply? This implies that Netanyahu's coalition is not listening to any sane person in the room, and they are simply going along with the most reactionary elements within their government. That is fucking crazy. That's terrifying. And it's not like they're hiding it. They're openly stating the Israeli army is launching a full-scale offensive on the Gaza Strip. We have abolished all the rules of war. Our soldiers will not be held accountable for anything. There will be no military courts. You know what I mean? They're very actively saying that no, they're going in there to kill every single person. No one is trying to be a sane person here. No one is trying to scale it back. Every single person that is involved in this on the Western Front is basically saying, go buck wild. Fuck it. Genocide. We are watching genocidal actions unfold in front of our eyes. It is ridiculous to think if you have this opinion and you think civilians dying is horrifying and bad. If you can't extend that to the children of Gaza dying because their homes are being reduced to fucking rubble, if you cannot extend it to the other side, it's very obvious how you operate. You do not think that these are people. Now, maybe you got to that point because you're angry, or maybe you got to that point as a combination of being angry and also on top of that, you were misinformed your whole life, or maybe deliberately you just didn't see anything. You thought that this was in a fucking vacuum or some shit like that. This is genuinely psychotic behavior. If Hamas didn't attack Gaza, would not be getting bombed is a crazy take. Because, as I've said time and time again, people love to mention Gaza, love to claim that Gaza is responsible for the bloodshed that children experience. Gaza is the children in Gaza experience not having access to fucking clean water, not having access to electricity because Israel controls all of that, living inside of an open air prison, and that's like justifiable. You believe all of that, but you don't even fucking recognize the other side of the equation. There are plenty of Palestinians living on currently occupied West Bank. Those guys didn't do anything, neither did the kids in Gaza, okay? Those guys didn't do anything, and their situation is dire as well. So peaceful coexistence has not worked out for them either. And this is not my assessment. This is the assessment of Shin Bet. Even Israel's own internal intelligence agencies recognize that the consistent death and destruction that befalls the Palestinian people is creating a security threat, okay? It is very difficult not to meet this reality, but somehow plenty of people on the West refuse to see that.
Hamas offers nothing but terror and bloodshed with no regard to who pays the price. The loss of innocent life is heartbreaking. Like every nation in the world, Israel has the right to respond, indeed has a duty to respond to these vicious attacks. I just got off the phone with third call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I told him the United States experience what Israel is experiencing, our response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. We also discussed how democracies like Israel and the United States are stronger and more secure when we act according to the rule of law. Terrorists purposely target civilians.
Damn, bro, he couldn't get that. He couldn't get on that good Adderall for this, dude. He couldn't even get out of bed for this one. Anyway, listen. Have you seen the Israel newspaper Haaretz report on the 3/4 of the death being military? Obviously not defense. That 1/4 is still incredibly high, and excuse me, just lower the impression that got us from news media. Is there any credibility to that? Yes. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because 1,000 Israelis died. That's still ruthless. It's still fucking brutal. You have to analyze that within the context of where that brutality comes from. This is not a justification for said brutality, and a lot of people misunderstand that and think, oh, this must be a justification for said brutality. No, it is not. I am sick and tired, I guess, of regularly fucking having to stop myself halfway to repeat the things over and over again. I will keep doing it so that people understand. How is it not a justification? Analysis is not the same as justification. You want it to be because it makes you feel differently. You want to feel differently about it. You want to feel righteous in Israel's retaliation, and you don't want to recognize that that violence is directly the response, or that violence that has been ongoing is causing this violence that happened in Israel. This is not my analysis either. This is not simply my analysis that I've come up with on my own. This is the same thing that Israeli internal security has been saying. This is the same thing that Haaretz has been saying, the Israeli paper of record. It is a literal fact. The reason why we must be tempered in this situation and look at it and analyze it is so that it does not continue. Because if violence begets violence, and the apartheid occupation has been increasingly more violent towards the Palestinians, okay, and Palestinians feel as though they have no other method but to push back and to fight back as a consequence of the violence that they experience on a daily fucking basis, if you want that violence to end, as I do, you have to analyze the root cause. That's it. If you want an end to the violence, you must end it in its entirety. And the maintenance of an apartheid state requires consistent violence. That's it. These kinds of calls for unfettered, unshackled support for Israeli retaliation only makes matters worse.